allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we start our meeting, etc., we are very, very proud to have the Beekmantown girls hockey team with us tonight, a few members anyway. Like most of you know, they won the Upstate Girls Hockey Championship, so we know there's a lot of Chazy girls on the team also, and we wanted to recognize you. We're very proud of you. It's exciting. I mean, it's not just soccer, it's hockey, it's a little bit of everything, so it's like we're making our mark in New York State, that's for sure. So I have a plaque for you. It says, "Congratulations, Beekmantown Girls Hockey Team. The Chazy Town Board would like to recognize the Beekmantown Girls Hockey Team for winning the Upstate Girls Hockey Championship on February 10th, 2012. Your communities are very proud of your accomplishment." So, congratulations. He's the coach of the team. We'll present that. Maybe you can introduce some girls. Ready?
Okay. So just stand up, say your name and the school you're from. Go ahead.
I'm Alexis Gay, I go to Chazy.
I'm Samantha Galucci and I go to NCCA. I'm Emily Ravel and I go to Beekmantown. I'm Amanda Peterson and I go to Beekmantown.
I'm Brittany Minor, I go to Peru.
I'm Kai Reagan, I go to Beekmantown.
I'm Ashley Terry, I go to Saranac.
I'm Calvin Goldberg, and I go to Beekmantown.
I'm Madison Motion and I go to NCCA.
And there's more players not here. We have a 21 player roster, and we pull from 5 and 6 schools from the area. I just made it an opportunity for these girls to have a place to play. It's solely a self-funded team, and we've been doing it for 5 years. All 5 years we've been to the Final Four, and we've been to the finals 4 of the 5 years, and this year was our first state championship. And on top of that, this weekend we had girls playing a U16 state championship, and along with U19, and the Chazy girls took it home again this year, and we're off to Frisco, Texas, but that was last year. We're off to San Jose, California for the Nationals, and I believe we have a very good chance at winning a national title.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. Thank you very much for coming. Congratulations.
Good.
Bye. See you later.
Okay, again, before we start the meeting, we're going to have Mark Berry and Matt Boer do a little presentation on their marketing efforts at the Pfizer building in Chazy, so that everybody in Chazy will know what's going on. Come on up, Mark, or Matt. You mind covering?
I'll let Mark, I'll add in from here.
Okay.
He's only here if I fall over. Sam, I don't know if I want to be in your camera angle or not. Trying to get my best side. Let me just explain that, as most of you know, CDC was, can I sit down for a minute?
Yes, absolutely.
CDC was contracted by the Clinton County IDH who market this facility. I'm bragging a little bit because Matt and I designed this marketing program, but we think it's probably the most comprehensive and sophisticated marketing program in the history of North Country real estate. Let me just, if I could, highlight it. One of our methods is direct mail. We're strong believers in direct mail because we've used it so successfully in the past, particularly with what we call corporate discards, and that's really what this is. This is Pfizer's discard that we're trying to market. We have so far blanketed Europe and Asia with mailer cards. Up in Canada, however, we've become more sophisticated. We are doing 3-part mailers to a long list of companies in Canada. After each company gets a mailer, and the mailers go to named executives of the company, we then excuse me, get on the phone and call them. We started out with pet food manufacturers because they require R&D facilities. We worked our way up to botanicals, which is your vitamins and all that sort of stuff, up to cosmetics, because believe it or not, before you get to use cosmetics, it's tested somewhere in an animal. And then we're finally up to pharmaceuticals. Companies, regular pharmaceutical companies, in particular pharmaceutical companies that specialize in research and development. In addition to the direct mail, we're doing considerable advertising that we're planning, and we also are active on quite a few websites. As I mentioned, this active mail campaign in Canada is been yielding interesting results. Initially, we got a lot of pet food companies that were too small to consider such a large facility, but we're getting into the bigger companies now. We're also trying to put together a consortium, if you will, cross-border consortium, soliciting both universities and research hospitals that are engaged in technology transfer programs. That's just a fancy way of saying that if somebody on the staff comes up with a new discovery that's patentable, chances are they're going to try to sell that technology, incubate and then start a company as a result of that technology. And those kinds of companies, by their very nature, don't have a lot of money. They certainly don't have the money for the bricks and mortar that go into an R&D facility such as this. And so we're letting them know that this facility exists. Now, you probably already concluded, but I'll state the obvious. The chances of us finding a single owner occupant of that building are very, very small. What we think we're going to find is multiple owners interested in multiple uses, or at the very least, a single owner with multiple uses in mind. And in that sense, we're not so much finding a needle in a haystack. We could get lucky. There could be a company that perhaps was farming out their R&D overseas, has been working for them for reasons having to do with quality control, whatever, maybe expense, maybe FDA regulations, and now they're coming back to the U.S. and we're catching them on the rebound, so to speak. We may find a company like that, but I think it's more likely that we're going to find a single owner, maybe an owner with joint venture partners that's willing to piece out, rent out parts of that facility. Maybe for R&D, maybe for a lab space. There's plenty of room in that building if you've ever been through that building. I think it goes on and on. I think we've done 4 or 5 tours. It's my exercise, and I have to go swimming when I go on that tour. And it's humongous. There's plenty of room for everybody. So we're going to keep on the marketing. We've only been at it officially for about 3 or 4 months now. We're just getting into our good season as far as real estate is concerned, and not coincidentally, we're starting to send our letters out to the R&D companies and the pharmaceutical companies in Canada. We're hoping that we find a Canadian company that's already doing business in the U.S., but doesn't have a location there already. Our proximity to Montreal, we think, is an advantage for those types of companies, and also for the research hospitals and the universities that are engaged in technology transfer, because they can fly in from all over the country to Montreal, or even Plattsburgh now, and then be in Chazy in a matter of minutes. So we're cautiously optimistic. We don't have any results yet, but we hope to have them soon. And we're here mostly to answer your questions tonight. Just don't ask me any hard questions.
How much marketing are you doing, like overseas?
In Europe and Asia, we probably hit 750 companies.
I thought it was over 1,000.
Probably over 1,000, but I know at least 750 because we spend a lot of time working on our lists. We worked with a special company that did nothing but find us lists, and these lists had to be very sophisticated. They had to be companies that were currently engaged in R&D facilities, or would soon at some point have to engage in R&D facilities. But because of the expense and the awkwardness, if you will, of making phone calls overseas, we decided to turn that part of our marketing campaign into what we call a passive campaign. So they just got the cards. And if they were interested, they would send us an email responding to the cards. We did not call somebody in Sri Lanka or Indonesia. Now, Montreal, just the opposite. We sent them a letter, first of all, introducing the facility. Secondly, we sent them another letter with a little bit more details, and then the third letter we sent them, we offered them what we call a free red carpet. This is where you've seen it, where we offer them a half a day plus lunch, how to do business in the United States. And then we follow up those 3 letters with a phone call. And by the time Matt or I get on the phone, they know why we're calling. So just the fact that the CEO takes the call gives us encouragement. And we've had a few CEOs that have taken the call, thanked us for the letters, and said, it's too big for us. And we try to fix it so that if they think about renting a small amount, that's good too. But that's the more active part. And we've identified in Canada alone, between the pet food manufacturers, the botanicals, the cosmetics and the pharmaceuticals, over 1,200 companies in Ontario and Quebec, and some out in the western provinces. So we've been pretty pleased with that. It's good numbers. And this is, like, you know, anybody who's in sales knows, it's usually the law of large numbers. You might call 100 companies, 10 might have a modest interest, 2 or 3 are serious enough to come look at it, and maybe one will say yes. We're playing the law of large numbers.
And with all those calls, just to add, I mean, it creates networking. You may speak to a CEO that has no interest, but says, you know what, maybe you ought to try with this company. I know that they're doing something in the US, I know they're looking for research, so, you know, it allows us to go in some tangents that, you know, are more credible than if we just tried to find them on our own.
We've actually showed the building 3 times to people interested in parts of it. So that's about all I can say about that.
I mean, that's good.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, in a relatively short amount of time that we've been at it.
You've only been doing this 3 months, you say?
Yeah, well, we started, the mailing started less than 3 months ago. Less than 3
You
months.
had 3 people
Yeah.
respond off of that?
It's good.
And we're very, very pleased. It's just a matter of time. Unfortunately, Matthew and I have a great deal of experience with corporate discards. We were intimately involved in the Harris Graphics in Champlain. We were instrumental in the sale of Tam brands in Willsboro. We were the ones that sold the Imperial Paper Mill to an investor in California. And the history of corporate discards is that the corporation will hang on to them for 2 or 3 years, then either give them away or sell them for 10 cents on the dollar. Pfizer has essentially transferred this to the county IDA for nothing. And so if there's somebody out there interested in the whole facility, or maybe they have joint venture partners, I think they can get it for pretty cheap. Our only litmus test is jobs. If we're gonna sell this thing for cheap, then I think we should get some jobs in return for it. I think that's what the town of Chazy would like, have some more employees there, so.
Does that stay on the tax rolls, or how's that work now?
Well, maybe Stop can help me here. I think it's off the tax rolls right now.
For next, it is off right now.
Yeah. So if,
It'll be off next year also.
yeah, although I think you settled the dispute over the assessment, right? Yeah, so you might got a chunk of change from that, I believe.
I think so.
Not really, no?
No,
Okay.
because it couldn't come off the assessment rolls right away, so the settlement was
Oh,
to
was that long? Okay.
pay the current tax obligation.
I think that, and I'm not gonna kid you, I think first of all, yeah, if the private sector outfit does buy it, it'll go back on the rolls, but it's not gonna be worth what it was before. There's no way, so I think you're gonna see some sort of agreements. So you can argue about that later on with the new owner, but I think, before you even get to that point, you should argue first about the jobs. Make sure that somebody has bought that place that's got potential to create a number of new jobs, and I think that's what the IDA wants. At least that's what our marching orders too. We'll worry about the taxes later, but let's get some jobs.
And that's been like, you know, common in other corporate discards we've worked in the past, where it does go back in the tax rolls at a significantly lower value, but with time, comes back up. Maybe not as high as where it was or should have been, but it will climb. Just gotta get something happening.
Anybody here want to buy a slightly used RV?
That fuel breakfast?
I will say, in my history of corporate discards, I've never seen a facility that showed so well and was so spectacularly impressive as that facility. Perhaps all of you have been it. This is the first time I was in it, probably 2 months ago. Since then, I'm sick of the place. But it has been the maintenance people. They hired John Poyson and his crew to keep track of things. And the maintenance job is there is fantastic. Everything is turnkey, ready to go. If somebody wanted to use it like it's been used before, they literally have to show up with their briefcase and key in front door, that's it. I mean, it is a beautiful, beautiful facility. And it's got everything. And we were, I won't mention names, but we've been in buildings, we were in one today that was, you're ashamed to even show it to somebody. That's not the case with the Pfizer facility. It's in beautiful condition. It's a great building show. And so for that reason, because the IDA, I don't think can afford to maintain it forever, so we're under the gun to have something done by this fall.
Well, just on that, you mentioned, maintaining, I think it should be said, just that, the county IDA, and the state of New York, they did step up. I mean, I think the IDA's been dealing with, the maintenance of that facility is pretty intricate, and I think they've learned a lot. Again, they've got a good crew, but there were some surprises for them. And of course, the state of New York put up quite a significant amount of money so that you could keep it clean. So I think at least, they've done their work, now we've got to do ours.
Without being critical, I think that there were some I's that weren't dotted and T's that weren't crossed by Pfizer in the last couple of years of their existence there. The maintenance crew took care of that. Everything's up to date, the certificates, the licenses, the permits, everything is still there. And this place is really and truly ready to go. And so that's made our job easier when we do get enabled to get somebody in the building, we have nothing to apologize for.
Is the maintenance being done now by Pfizer? Are they the ones?
No, the IDA is
IDA.
contracted with John Poyce and his crew
Okay.
to maintain it, but they're using two guys, and I think came with the building,
Got,
Lee Plumador and
Plumador and Mr. Brunel, and there's a third name. There were the boiler operators there at the plant before. So I think they're officially working through John Pusson's company in Plattsburgh, but they know the building very
they seem
well.
to know the building at the back of their hand, and they're great on tours. They answer every question that's being asked, from security to the animal cleaning cages, the animal cages cleaning facility to the R&D. Pfizer even left behind a transmitting electron microscope, and we didn't know that until the maintenance guys told us that. Amazing.
We haven't figured out how to run it yet, but
Yeah.
yeah.
It's worth a little bit of money.
Well, thank you very much for coming, we appreciate it. We just wanted to,
If anyone ever has a question for us, just pick up the phone.
Hopefully the next time we're here, I have some good news for you.
We hope so.
that'd be nice.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
And now we will have Dave Siskevich, which is gonna update you on our water plant, et cetera, just so everybody knows what's going on and a week we had last week and.
We had a fun week last week. Just to let everybody know what exactly went on over there, is that we have 3 deep wells. All our pumps are submersible. They're 400 to 500 feet in the ground. Right above one of the pumps, we had a pipe failure. So basically what was happening was, as the tank called for water to be pumped up, we were pumping water out of broken pipe, and at the same time we had a check valve failure in the same pipe, and it was siphoning the tank back into the ground. So I don't know if you can just imagine the tanks up here and our wells down here with a broken thing, and we were losing water at a very alarming rate come Wednesday and Thursday morning. So I had to take some pretty drastic measures to stop what we call bleeding of the water system. At first I thought it was a ruptured main, but it's pretty hard to tell when water's being discharged under subsurface of the ground exactly where you're losing it. So it was just by a stroke of luck and chance that we found that the tank, we're losing all our water from our tank back into our well system. It's nothing uncommon to happen to these wells, but there's some corrective action that I'm implementing now that would stop that from happening again. One of them is we had a well driller on site. He replaced all the pipe in one of the wells. Tomorrow he's coming to do the second one. And since all the wells are basically the same age, I'm going to have the third one done. That could fail. If we don't do it, it could fail tomorrow. It could fail next year. I don't know. But on the safe bet, I feel that we should be replacing. If we're doing 2, we might as well do the third one. Get it done. Put new check valves in. There's some engineering that was done, that had to be done to change check valves in our main meter pit. Everything is 12 to 13 years old now. The meters have a longevity, if they're not subject to a lot of chlorine dosage, of about 20 years. Our meters are right in where our chlorine is injected, and they outlived their life. So we were basically planning on doing a meter repair before the wells ruptured anyways. So basically, by doing the meter repair, we had to do a little engineering, and it's already approved through the health department. That was a 1-day turnaround. Hopefully tomorrow they'll be coming to install the new meters with the new check valves for the main meter pit. And what that will do, number one, we'll be able to right down to 1/100th of a gallon, know what each well is doing at any given moment. With our old meters, we didn't have that capability. And plus, by installing more check valves in the system, if we have a failure on a pump that's 400 feet in the ground on a check valve, we won't lose the water out of the tank because we're gonna add a check valve up on the surface this time also. It's gonna be a little redundant, but it will rectify we won't have that problem again. We're gonna be putting about $15,000 into correcting this problem. But it's, the way we're going with the new meters, there's a couple different things that we can do over the long term to keep track of our water consumption a little better than what we have been doing, or the system we have in place to keep track of everything. There's a new system out there that you can actually read everybody's meters off in radio frequency. So just for a scenario, we put these radio frequency antennas on our meters at the water plant. We have 3 main meters. We get Susan the software for the office with an antenna on the office, and at any given moment she can punch up and see exactly how much water has gone through those meters at any given moment, any given day. They make those for the household, and they also make them for the commercial end on the main meter pit. The company that we use for our meters now is a company called Census. They have engineers on staff. They're willing to come free of charge to tell us how much this radio wave system would eventually cost the town. The only thing the town would have to do is basically have a local engineer stamp the plans that Census comes up with, and then purchase the radio frequency transmitters. On the meter end of it, everybody's 12 years old on their household meter. The meters are 20-year lifespan. The new meters they're making now are not made out of brass, everything's made out of plastic. So they also have a 20-year bumper-to-bumper warranty on them. And if we started budgeting to replace 5 or 10 meters a year, these meters cost $150 a piece. If we start replacing 5 or 10 of them a year, you just keep on a rotating cycle. By the time these brass ones are wearing out, we're in the 13th year. As they wear out, we just put the new composite ones in, and the warranty will take off for 20 years on the new meter. One of the problems is that the meters that we have are on the main water system, not in the households, are basically outdated, and over time, all the millions of gallons that go through these things, their calibration starts getting worse and worse and worse, so you're not keeping an accurate record of how much water you're using. You just have a good guesstimation, and that's where we're at with the main water meters at the plant. You can't really foresee what happened this past week with a ruptured pipe in the well. You can't, it's not a piece of equipment that you can physically go and look at and inspect. It's in the ground, you're at the mercy of this piece of equipment. It's either run or fail. When it fails, that's when you have to go into action. And that's what we had to do this week.
Those pumps in the well, they're the original?
Yes, sir.
Their lifespan of them?
25 to 30 years. The first one they just pulled out, sir, was our number 3 well. That's a 7.5 gallon, or 7.5 horsepower, 40 gallon per minute pump. The gentleman that pulled this out and did the repair for us, been doing it a long time, he inspected the pump and said, we have a lot of life left in the pump. So I felt confident. We ordered the pipe, new check valves. He put it back together. That's brought us out of the
Just
crisis.
for kicks, what type of pipe is that?
That is a galvanized pipe.
It's galvanized?
Yep.
4 inch or?
No, well, we have 2 wells that are 2 inch and one that's 3 inch. The first one we did was a 2 inch. The one we're doing tomorrow is a 2 inch, and then the last one, which didn't fail us, is a 3 inch, which will be done on Thursday.
So some of these can be recovered and rebuilt?
The pumps bucket?
Right.
Not really. These pumps are basically when either a stage or impeller goes, there's several stages on these pumps. And as over time, the stages start wearing out, giving you less and less water. So basically they're made, these pumps are not made to rebuild, they're made to replace. It's not like the pumps we have at the sewer plant, we
Right.
rebuild them. These are just like household submersible pumps, but on a much larger scale.
Right.
Crisis is over.
Well, thank
Just
you
the
for,
hard part of paying now.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing a good job and spending the extra time and
Well, it's all right. I mean,
Doing what you had to do, we were
it's
kind
part
of-
of the day's work, but,
panic mode.
I mean, this radio read thing, it's very important that we try to pursue this with the town, on a financial thing. Because, quite honestly, when you can see exactly what every meter in your district is doing at any given moment, you can pinpoint problems within hours instead of days or weeks. I have no idea how long them pumps have been running and siphoning that tank back into the wells. Could have been a month, could have been a week, could have been 6 months. Because the only thing I have to go by, up until we do this new install, was the total amount of gallons that were used going out to the village.
With the feedback going back into the well, is
Yeah.
there any damage that can be done
No.
to the water veins and?
No, if anything, we chlorinated them. Because all our good chlorinated water, we thought we were losing in a leak out in the system, we were actually losing it back down in
Back
our
in the
actual
well.
source hole. You know? So we basically just chlorinated the water and pumped it back up to the tank and sent it back to the hole.
All right.
That's what we were doing.
Well, you don't want any bacteria doing that. Anyway,
Yeah.
so they've been there 12, 13 years and this cost $15,000?
Well,
Ballpark.
the total repair is a ballpark of around 15,000. That's repairing all 3 wells with new pipe. That's 3 brand new meters with 3 brand new check valves all installed. This is engineering fees, this is contractor fees,
So it's $1,000 a year, round figures.
basically.
Cost me more than that, my pump at the house.
There you go. So yeah, that's, if you, dollars and cents,
That's economical,
you know?
Yeah.
sure.
So that's basically where we're at, give or take 1,000. And the engineer that did this for us, they're out of Willsboro. It's a gentleman that I've used in the past and I have a good relationship with him. And I called him on Thursday and he was here Friday morning. He designed this with the health department required for the new meters. He designed it and had it approved by this afternoon. And with the installation and the engineering, the installation of the meters and the engineering of the meters, we're gonna be about $2,500. That's including engineering fees. So,
Excellent.
tried to save the money where I could, but in some instances, I can't save it. You gotta go ahead and replace what you have to replace.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to update the board firsthand so you didn't hear it on the street that this happened and that happened, everything else happened.
Thank you.
We're all set, we have plenty of water, and by the end of the week, we just have to spend a little money and it'll be fixed.
That's all.
Nothing that money won't solve.
It's only money.
If you're out of water, you're very happy to spend that
Yes,
money.
that's right.
That's right, you don't mind spending.
Right.
Very happy to spend
Absolutely.
it.
You've done good.
Timmy, thanks for digging that today. Appreciate that.
No problem.
Maybe it'll dry up a little bit over there.
Hopefully.
We'll see what happens.
How are we sealed for, we have enough reserves, where does that come from?
Yeah, it will have to come from reserves. Because it was an emergency, I had put a resolution in for tonight. I wasn't quite sure of the amount, it'll probably be 15,000. And I know it's kind of backwards, but I don't know if there's really any issue. I don't think so, because it's an emergency, yeah. But we do have that covered, we have 18,000 in reserves.
wow.
Don't tell them that.
No, believe me, I was trying to keep it around 12, but I forgot my well driller in there, so.
So anything else happened? Oof.
But,
At least we had it.
Right, exactly.
But on the wastewater treatment end of it, I mean, we look good there. It doesn't look like we're gonna have any big expenses over on the wastewater treatment end. We look pretty good, other than one pump has to go to Tommy Karen to be rebuilt, but that's just general maintenance stuff we do. But as in anything that needs big replacing, I don't foresee anything over there. So hopefully this is our crisis for the next few years.
Next period.
Yeah,
Thank you, Dave.
thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dave.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Appreciate
See you
it.
tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order. And anybody like to make a,
Make a motion, we approve the minutes of that. February 11th is presented by the clerk.
I'll second that.
Councilor Trombley made the motion that the minutes of the February 11th, 2013 board meeting be approved as submitted by town clerk, seconded by Councilor Devlin. Roll call, Councilor West,
Yes.
Councilor Dino,
Yes.
Councilor Devlin,
Yes.
Councilor Trombley,
Yes.
Supervisor Spiegel.
yes. At this time, we'll open up the floor to anybody that would like to address the board.
I was looking for Mitchell will be the first one.
Please state your name and
My name's Dan Nephew. I've been a loyal taxpayer of the town of Chazy for 40 years and not always a happy one, but we're still paying them. And we're getting hooked up with a company here with the savings on electricity called Ambit Energy. They started in Texas in 2006. And they're one of the fastest growing energy supply companies around right now, and they just, here as of, just recently, they reached 1.4 million customers in about 7 years now. And they guarantee a savings, and the nice part about this, I'm just gonna make it quick, I don't wanna take up a lot of your time, is where there's a big savings as you get into things like the towns and so forth, where you take one of your high meters, and if you get 15, they put 15 of your other meters underneath that one, they take the average of those meters and they'll credit that towards you'll get free energy. So say your high meter was $1,000 a month and you had 15 at 500, they would take the average of those 15 and they'd take $500 off of that $1,000 every month. So that's a big savings at the end of the year. That'd pay for your well at the end of the year. But no, there's a lot of energy companies out there, and some you got to be careful of, and others there are other good ones too. But Ambit Energy is the only one that offers this free energy source. There's no one that Ambit, AMBIT. Here's some literature you can look over, and
so do they offer a flat rate per kilowatt hour or?
no, there's no, you got a guaranteed savings. Whatever you're paying now, they'll beat that by a minimum of 1%. It's a guaranteed saving. You don't have to go by everybody tries to compare rates. Well, you don't need to compare rates, because whatever they record what you paid last year and with your energy supply company now, and they guarantee to beat that by a minimum of 1%.
The lowest rate that's offered to us?
Of what
Of the company, not from NICEAG.
Of what we're paying now.
Of what you're paying now,
Okay.
Right.
of what you're paying.
So if
See,
we
there's
pay
some,
50,000 a year, they're going to give us 1%, 50,000.
right. And some of them, you gotta be careful, because some of them are coming in and offering a $20 discount or whatever, or a 5% savings. But you gotta be careful with some of them, because they come in and they offer that savings, but offering their energy rates, not what you're paying now, often, and their rate could be sky high, and they guarantee 5% off from their rate, so you gotta be careful of some of these energy companies. There's some scammers out there. But this company's been in, like I said, it's been in business for going on 7 years. Now they're a debt-free company. They're based out of Texas. They're an American company. We're not sending our money overseas to help somebody else out by paying our energy bills every month. And it's just a little something to think about, like I say, they're the only ones that guarantee this savings, like often what you're paying now. And then with the free energy, they're the only ones that is offering the free energy, which is a lot, there's a lot of people going for the free energy. And anybody, I mean, anybody in this room could sign up as a customer, and they get 15 of their friends and relatives to sign up with them, and they can get their energy, take the average of those 15 customers, and then get their energy free also. So this is the only company that's offering that.
So we could do our highest one here and then tag
Right.
each, because we have
Right, I think
meters, and
there's
tag each
4
one of them
meters or
under,
something.
well, I don't know how many we have,
You
but-
take your highest one,
Right.
and then take your next 15 highest ones,
and put them under
and
the.
put them under
highest
that,
one.
and then they credit that.
And the other thing is, there's no we don't have to sign a contract.
No
If we're not
contract.
happy, we can out whenever we feel.
There's no contract, if you're not satisfied, you can switch at any time, and there's no tie to it.
We do have some other proposals coming in.
Mhm,
In fact, he emailed me, I think the gentleman thought tomorrow was our board meeting,
mhm.
because he sent me an email today saying I'm gonna have the pricing from 4 different companies coming for tomorrow's board meeting. Well, I said, well, today's the board meeting.
Right.
So we'll probably won't.
But yeah, if there's any questions, there's no
Information
information
for
next
next
month, but it's, you know, I think I've pretty much covered, I don't wanna take up a lot of your time, but I think I've pretty much covered it. You got anything to add, Sheriff?
Nope.
There's, I mean, it's really flying around, it's in, Ambit Energy is in 9 states right now, it's gonna cover all 50 states.
And you switched some other municipalities.
I've got Riley Fords, are all switched over,
But
Newbury
for,
Feeds.
for townships, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, there's been 2, some of our other consultants have switched, 2 towns, I think it's Chesterfield, or Chestertown, and there's been a couple in Sable, I believe. And they're, you know, why not have the savings, you know, I mean, it's, the taxpayers are they're saving the money, you know, and so why not take over the savings hour and stuff. But I mean, we've got, like Champlain, Peterbilt, we got them switched over, and Border View up there, we got a number of businesses that are switching over, and they're all saving money.
Have you switched over any, like, school districts or?
No, we haven't done the,
We've made a proposal to Northeastern Clinton. My daughter's a consultant and she's proposed it to the board. Haven't gotten an answer back yet, but based on the same thing that Dan's talking about, it's a pretty easy thing
yeah,
to see.
it's a no-brainer for, you know, people that have multiple meters, because I mean, you take 15 of your meters and average them out, and you get it credited towards free energy. I mean, you have no way of losing. Is there any questions? Maybe I can try to answer them.
This is all in place of, takes NICEX.
Right, nothing changes, you still get your bill from NICEAG, you have a problem, you call NICEAG, nothing changes whatsoever.
It's just the supply
Just the
portion
supply
that
portion of the bill.
changes, the delivery, which NICEAG still hangs on to. They take care of that, but the bill comes in from NICEAG, and you'll just find a page that shows you what your supply is from Ambit.
And see, where a lot of the energy companies out there, they got contracts and stuff where you gotta be careful of too. And like this one here, wherever you're through now, you'd have to check with those to make sure that you're not tied to a contract too before you made any move to switch, you know. But it's, you know, it's pretty cut and dried. You know, you have, it's a no-brainer to, when you can get free energy, you can't get any cheaper than that, you know.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All set. Okay, see you later now. Thank you.
Yeah, see you now.
Did you want to address us now?
Might as well. A couple things. Sales tax still continues to climb. So far, so good. And on a different note, April 30th is the last day to redeem the foreclosed or pre-foreclosed tax properties with the new law that's gone into effect. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bill, but the April 30th.
April 26th.
Yeah,
The judge
26th.
signed the order today.
Okay.
We were expecting it to be signed on the 15th.
Okay, so April 26th. And Staub, did you get an email from Town of Plattsburgh, Gerard Renadette, for your Code of Ethics board? Or do you have a Code of Ethics board?
We haven't revised from Beatontown.
Okay, so you did get it.
That was a long time ago. I got a copy of Beatontown's.
Okay, no,
No,
Gerard's having a meeting on the 25th, in the town of Plattsburgh at 5 o'clock, and he wants to get as many boards throughout the county together at that meeting. He addressed us the other night, and apparently, I don't think anybody got an email from him the way he was talking, so, don't know.
But I don't think we have a code of ethics board here, no.
Well, you don't have a 3 or 4 member board?
No.
It was never appointed, it looks like, under the law in 1971, they enacted a code of ethics, but never appointed a board. And that's what his presentation to the county legislature was, that he's trying to get all the towns to now have active ethics.
Code of ethics.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought-
and a code of ethics,
Okay.
which Stop did give me, and I have actually a draft for all of you to take, digest it. Not to step on your
No.
presentation,
I
but
had board.
Stop had given it to me, so I put it in local law format for the town of Chazy. You can take it, look at it. The next step would be to set a public hearing. And I've got a resolution for you on that, Leo. I mean, if you want to do that the next meeting, once everybody has a chance to look at it and digest it.
2 other things, there was, from the airport, there's a little over 100 more enplanements in the month of February this year compared to last year. So we're seeing the rebound. The new Punta Gorda flight is up and running, and with the Vegas flights, that seems to have at least brought us back to where we were, and we're on the positive side. And one other thing, Tim, I just found out about an hour and a half ago, CHIPS funding, you possibly looking at a 40% increase over last year. I just heard that from Alresco. 40% increase over last year. No, it was a 0 after that.
Wow.
Apparently Senate and Assembly are on the same side of that issue.
Wow.
So,
Tim might enjoy that.
well, I think we'll all enjoy it, we've been hearing how it's gonna be cut. But, I just heard that from Al Rasco, and I apologize for being late. We were a little bit late getting out of a committee meeting, and I think we're gonna be late Wednesday, Bill. They were lining up when I left. So, no, it's on the SAFE Act. We've had a lot of interested, concerned taxpayers, and whether the SAFE Act is good or bad, I think the way it was done was wrong, and the state of New York, it's, hey, I'll try to fall in the governor's hands, but, we have some assembly and senators that passed it with flying colors, and they need to hear from all of us, Clinton County's gonna vote Wednesday night, and you've read the paper. I think Franklin County made a big stand over the weekend, but the legislation, I think we've all, if we don't have our say, we don't have our democracy, and we've laws are in place for a reason, and I think nobody's above not following them. And in this case, I don't think it was followed. We heard more about it after it was done. I didn't hear about it at all before it was a done deal. But if anybody wants any input, Wednesday night they're gonna be there, and the resolution I think is gonna pass unanimously. I don't think there's any problems with the resolution that they've done up. But anybody's got any questions of me? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let me go down my list here because I don't have a lot. Let's see here. Oh, Kathy, last time you had mentioned, or you and Jerry had mentioned wanting to check with the county about background checks, what they do for background checks for the coaches. They don't do it. So I said, well, it was kind of suggested to us that we do these, and I said, how do you do them? And they we don't do them. And I said, well, okay.
Wow.
I mean, we try to get the recommendation from Mr. Tatro and who he'd like to put in as a coach or whatever. And if he feels that they're not doing the right job, he'll come to me and state his problem with the coach or whatever. But we don't have any mechanism in place. And I asked him, is there a place on the website we can go to? You can go on and find out, if somebody's registered sex offender, but that's about it. After that, we're not really supposed to look into criminal records. How'd she put it? You're not supposed to hold their past against them, I guess.
Can't really discriminate based on,
Their past.
sexual or criminal history. And sexual history you can. But yeah, you can It's not discriminatory if their past criminal behavior would affect perhaps their performance in the job. Like somebody who's been convicted of larcenies and things like that, and is gonna be holding a position of treasurer or something dealing with money, then you can, do that. And the same, for children and for coaches and things of that nature, like that, to the extent they have a pedophile or a sexual history that way, a criminal history, then, that could be considered. But stop right, you can do that yourself. I mean, anybody can go online and the sexual registry, has all the sex offenders are registered on it. Doesn't
Well, that's
really
what I
limit
was-
everything else.
That's what I was basically getting at was, if someone's a pedophile, we certainly don't want them coaching our children.
Hmm.
I mean,
Obviously, we don't want to do that.
So-
So we would probably do hopefully, if we get the name in time, we could do a search and,
well, can we even ask, Rachel, or whomever is going to make the recommendation to, I think we need to get something in place where somebody does that. And check and see if they're if they're registered
Mhm.
as a sex offender.
we can do that.
Because we get their information through the office, right, anyway? The coaches, because they get paid.
Yep, they have to give, social security card
Right.
and
So we would have
license and,
enough information to,
To be able to.
yeah. Sometimes she has trouble getting them
The
from the people, but
basketball coaches just gave me theirs and they've been done since February. And I asked for them right up front, and it's
And is this
fight.
something that the county should at least be doing before they recommend a coach?
They don't recommend it, coach, though.
they don't recommend them. It's usually
No,
Tommy that
they-
comes forward and says it's a parent of this
Tom
little
or,
girl and he
Danielle.
wants to coach
They
and,
don't
or,
recommend
yeah.
And I'm not sure how much the county gets involved in
No.
that kind
it. No,
of
they
thing,
don't.
you know.
Mhm.
But I can,
I know as a
Okay,
legislator,
as
we
long
don't
as
get
we
involved
can-
in it.
what's that?
I know as a legislator, we don't get involved in it. That's Bill's job, that's why he makes the big bucks.
Okay, well, as long as we can find a way to,
Maybe we can look at how the paperwork comes through. I mean, it's a struggle every year to get the paperwork in. I just got paperwork from, hockey camp coach. That was last summer.
then,
We should
maybe we need to start,
saying
being,
before they can coach, they have to do their
Exactly.
paperwork.
I've asked and asked, but maybe it's gotta come from somebody else but me.
Well, they don't
Yeah.
get paid until they get the proper paperwork
Absolutely,
in.
they don't get paid.
But they
He
don't.
has
But-
one.
You know anyway?
but they
Well,
shouldn't
she
be
doesn't-
allowed to
she
coach
can't-
until
she
we have our
can't cut the
paperwork.
But,
I know,
I asked,
I
and
know.
maybe we can develop some guidelines that would help me enforce what I need to get.
Should we make a committee of some kind down to get some guidelines and rules down and bring in, Rachel and whoever else is in charge of this?
Yeah, I think it'd be a
so
good
we're
idea to
all-
get Tommy involved so that,
And then,
and then,
So that we're fully aware of what we expect from them and that they know beforehand,
Yep.
this has to be done.
Yep.
That until it's done,
Okay.
we're not coaching.
let me get a hold of him and,
Okay, and I'd be
Yeah.
happy to serve on the committee.
okay. Anybody else want to serve on that committee?
I'll do it.
Yep.
Yeah, because
paperwork.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem at all. The other thing you want me to check was, I know there was a problem with smoke being at the bank in Chazy, due to a neighbor's wood stove, and I checked with Randy LaRose at the DEC. Really, there's not much you can do. It's gotta be, he said that you gotta basically have your codes officer, go in and find out if it's a newer unit, how it was installed, make sure it was installed properly. If it's an old unit, well, it's kind of not much you can do, he said, but they don't have any provisions for air quality control. There's nothing that they will do on it in the DEC. So, says it's really up to your codes officer to go and
No.
find out how it was installed properly, and talk to the owner and see if there's anything else we can have them possibly do, but as far as raising the stack, like if you raise it too high, how do you support it from the wind and
Well, this isn't an outdoor boiler, she said, it's a regular.
It's a regular,
It's-
it's a regular thing.
It's a
Yeah.
wood stove or something.
It's a wood
Yeah.
stove.
Yeah,
The outdoor boilers are not allowed, they're allowed in the village if they have 100 feet of clearance, I guess, from the
From
next
property.
property.
The biggest problem there is he's not burning it properly inside.
Right.
They load it up in the morning, then go to work and throttle it down. So all that wood is doing is just
Smoke.
smoking there. With a proper draft, you'd eliminate a big share of that, but that's all controlled from inside the house.
I'll tell you, I would hate to be in that neighborhood. I hate to be there having to deal with that smell, all day long. I mean, that is terrible.
So he's gonna go down and talk to the gentleman and find out exactly how he's got it installed and everything. We talked about it the other day.
So he is going down and check it out?
Yep.
Okay.
So, once we get more
I'm
information.
sure he's got it installed,
Okay.
right?
Thank you.
Well, he's gonna find out. Did everybody see the notice that I gave? I think I gave everybody a copy of, what we made for changes on the West Telecom.
Well, that was great.
Okay, and that, we'd like to thank Pat for kind of bringing a few things to our attention, and then we got Dave Downey involved, and he did a really nice job with working with West Telecom to, I think we're gonna see some nice savings here over the years, just making changes and, kind of, he gave you an outline on the list, I don't wanna go through everyone, but you can see what he did and
Did a great
how it's
job.
gonna make some
Excellent.
changes for us, so I'd like to thank Pat for initiating it, and Dave for
Thanks, Pat.
doing the work, and sounds good.
Great.
Bill, do we have anything, did you get anything from Time Warner?
No response.
Nothing yet? Okay.
You're so,
And then we also have the code fee change proposal that I gave everybody. One of them was the list of, what New York State uses, and then one was our list and what he recommended, Mickey recommended as far as fees. Do you want to look over that, and maybe we can do a resolution at the next meeting to see if there, or, make your changes and just see if there's any questions you may have, anything you want to change, but I just want to give you an idea of what it would look like.
Okay, I think that's a good idea.
very good.
We'll go down the table, and before we all leave though, we do have to go to executive session after, so just to let you know. Bucket, you want to go first?
What?
You have
Yeah,
anything?
first thing I want to do is thank you for the list of the town employees and boards and phone numbers.
Well, there's been lots of changes.
Yeah,
So,
figured we were due for an update. And, we covered last year pretty well. Trying to think. We came through with a new smoking policy.
yeah, that's something that, did everybody get a chance to look over that?
As a maintenance guy, I had a chance to check that soccer sign. I see that's still.
It's not our soccer sign, I know it's,
How's, yeah.
it's
Well,
it's done by the athletic association. They're the ones that put the sign there, they contracted Ray to make the sign and put it up and put the new ones on as they win championships, but they've gotta send
They
somebody
sort
down
of
there before
lost.
it gets blown off.
You know,
I gotta remember, I'll call Rob again, I forgot about that, but I'll call him tomorrow and just tell him, somebody can go up there with a screw gun and put those things back on before they blow off.
Is that just those things on the bottom?
Yeah.
I'll go look at it tomorrow. That's cool, man.
You mind doing that, or?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay. It's not really our responsibility, but.
That's right, I do a lot of things in
thank you, Richard.
You gonna check it out?
I didn't look up.
Other than
We're
that,
gonna leave it up to you,
I'm
Richard.
sure you can handle it.
Oh, jeez.
I can hand you the hammer, right?
other than that, thank the water guy for acting quickly and resolving our problem up there. And so, I'm sure you had a lot to do with it. And that's about it.
Kathy?
I echo what Bucket just said, thanks to Dave for the hard work and everybody else. The only question I have is for natural gas, I see where IP is
Oh,
getting natural gas. Have we heard anything about them bringing it to Chazy? Is there anything further we can do, or?
Didn't I read the other day, they're sending surveys out to Plattsburgh?
Plattsburgh
Yeah.
was in the paper.
I had
Did they
contacted
ever
them
respond
probably
when
6,
Chris
8
was
months
after
ago.
them for a while, right?
And from what they told me, that they just, it was gonna cost too much money to put it in the Hamlet of Chazy,
They
and
have
they
it
weren't
right up
interested.
here. I mean, it's right.
I
by
know
their
that's what they had told me though. I said, well,
Backyard, I mean.
yeah, they said it
it's
was
in
just
Champlain.
not cost efficient to do that. That was like 6 or 8 months ago when I contacted them.
Mhm.
Just not enough users, and
Yeah, and that's what they told us years ago.
it was gonna be so much money to put it in for, I think they base it on population, and they wanna make sure there's a big
And they've lost
population before.
risers.
Sale?
I just interject for a second?
Yep.
So, they'd, Chris had started this, and I didn't know where he ended up with it, or if anything. I had talked to Mike Morales in Beekman Town to explain to him what was going on here. He met with the school. The year I left the board in Beekman Town, Giroux have been trying to get natural gas down here. We all know that they're spending way more than they should have to for the propane when that gas line is right there. NYSEG is working with the school right now in Beekman Town. You've got to get your bigger users to commit to do the survey, and they will come in. If it's feasible where they can make the money, they will come. So what we're hearing is next year, they'll be in the second year. It's a 3-year project, but the school did give them the go-ahead, so now they're in the process of doing that. But that, we're hearing it's millions of dollars to tap that line. It's just not a matter of drilling it, hooking it up, and going. But Giroux Poultry and the school have been working together to get that, at least on that end. And I thought Chris had worked with the school and somebody else up here. But NYSEG's got a website, and the more hits they get, the quicker they are to respond.
We have it on our website too, to
Okay.
call if you want.
Okay.
NYSEG.
And I didn't know what Chris had ever finished up with, and I don't know if he'd reported back to you guys at all, but I do know that they are working on it from the other end, as far as Giroux Poultry and Beekman Town School, because if they can get the bigger users, then they can run the spurs to the houses, to do that, but they need the big users to use the fuel. I don't know if that helped you at all or not, but, so they are trying. It is discouraging when you see it going right up the Northway and nobody's getting it, They took it to the prison in Dan Warren, but that's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah.
And you still see that the town of Plattsburgh doesn't have it in places.
That's all.
Yep, great.
I don't have anything. Mickey's doing all right.
Who?
Mickey, the codes guy, he's fit in.
Yeah, he went to school last week. He's got classes all week, so he wasn't here, so he's
So
here
everything's going well.
tomorrow.
His hours are working out all right.
Seems to be.
Yeah.
Yep. We just paid our first bill to Champlain today, so.
The only other thing I have with the smoking policy, you probably have I don't know if you have a resolution or you can pass it, or if everybody's looked at it or whatever, but I would just, if we could, I don't know where the money would come from, but to have some signs, like by the doors or something, and like at the rec parks, a few signs to go up, no smoking.
Could we, like you said on there, though, it was in designated places, like.
Well, right, but I mean like no smoking 25 feet from the door or something like that by some of
I
the
think it's 40 feet,
entrances.
isn't it? How many, is it supposed to be 40 feet, like county?
We did 25, I thought, mostly for here because 40 feet is gonna put
Feet,
you,
you're gonna be over.
For trying to get able.
it'll put you off our
Yeah.
property. That's why I had 40, but I put it down to 25.
Yeah, I'm sure we can make some signs up.
But I just
Make some
thought
signs
mostly
up.
maybe for the rec parks next to the fields,
Yeah, we can get some signs up, pretty reasonable.
would be the only,
Okay.
that's it.
Richard?
Had a town judge report, how much of that money stays in town that they take in?
That depends upon the type of ticket it is. I think this month it was, let's see, maybe I think 11,000 was deposited, and think over 6,000 the state kept.
The state, so
Right,
halfway.
it's at least half, if not more.
Okay, that's interesting. And one other, at both ends of town, coming off the Fisk Road and coming to Route 9 here, there are bridges that go over those, like in front of Dr. Clark's place, and down here by the fire station. Of course, we don't need it today, but there were numerous times when we had that snow that the children were walking in the streets because the sidewalks, actually, you couldn't walk on them, they walked in the streets because they were plowed by the snowplow. There's gotta be something, I know the state owns one, maybe the county owns the other. It seems though we should have a little input into something. Just been fortunate so far that these kids haven't been hurt coming or going.
How's that, they try to put their wing down and go down it?
We usually try to.
Yeah, but like, you don't plow the bridge here on Route 9.
No, but we will at the bridge a lot of times if we can.
Well,
Dave used to do it a lot when he used to use the tractor, but now we use the truck and you can't.
well, it'd be nice if we could pay a little more attention to it, because the kids do walk in the street. Nobody wants to go to the funeral of a kid.
You can see if you can maybe get a tractor and go down there for half an hour, 45 minutes. We'll talk to Dave tomorrow.
It doesn't have to be done every day, it's just, you know, if it was done 3 weeks ago, we haven't had to do it since then. That's it.
Kenny?
Let's go put my body to
Not a
bed.
lot, just getting everything ready for spring we'll be busy in a couple weeks, hopefully we'll be real busy. Right now, the guys are getting anxious. Too early to sweep the roads, might have sand again, but they're getting anxious to do that. And gotta pull out all the file marker posts. We've got a lot to do. Snow fence gotta come down, but it's too muddy to do that, so right now it's just going around, getting everything cleaned up and ready to go. That time of year, a little bit of a steel in there.
I see where you bought some, quite a bit of used equipment.
Yep.
And you got some really good deals.
Yeah, I bought a Bobcat from the town of Plattsburgh for $5,500. We put a sweeper, I bought a used sweeper for it for $2,900. I bought a used roller, a big roller down in Putnam Station from the town for $1,200.
Brush hog or something?
Yeah, bought a used brush hog from Screw Knight for $300. Then I got the chips paid for a mower for us, that was $10,000 for a roadside mower. And they bought that welder generator for us, so they paid for all that.
Wonderful.
And we bought a used sweeper, one that you drive like the city's house with broom on each side, and sweeper for $1,200 from Scarlet House.
So do we want to review this and come back with some comments before we do?
Yeah, it would be good, I think, to
Sure.
have it in
Yeah.
its final form, you know.
Yeah.
it's, uh,
Okay, so let's plan on next meeting, making sure this draft is to everybody's liking. That's pretty much it. I will have some electric rate propositions for us for the next meeting. So I think you will do the resolutions first, and then we'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Now, are you talking about the garage too, with all these for smoking?
All county, all town
Okay.
property.
Not inside the garage?
Yeah.
Question.
Well, I've already been informed, you better plan on spending some money.
Why?
One.
Because of, the mechanic pretty much told me if he can't smoke in there, no truck's gonna run in there unless he got the pipes coming from the ceiling that hooks on, so they don't smoke in there. And we're gonna have to put in a welding bench with the vent, so when he welds it all goes out, and legally, he's right.
Does he want to smoke inside the building?
Well, he smokes,
Yeah.
in his workshop where he works, you know. I could see him not going in the office smoking, in the bathroom, in the lunchroom and all that, but, I mean, he's sitting there welding all day and everything, how can you tell him he can't smoke, but he can weld and breathe them fumes in? Or work on a truck, sitting there running and breathe the fumes in.
Well,
Very-
there should be,
very hard to
a hookup
enforce.
with.
You know what I'm saying?
I said it last week, it's very hard to enforce. Like when you mentioned Danny Wells, stop on the side of the road, smoke a cigarette, then get back into the snow plow and continue to
You're gonna
plow.
say, you're slipping and sliding going around when you sit outside the road.
Smoking.
I
Well,
believe so.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You go to the state route, you got the things hanging from the ceiling, they start the truck. Shoot goes over and
Goes
goes
out,
out.
goes out after.
I'm sure the county's probably has it. You ever been in the county garage? Yeah.
but if we didn't pass this law, it would be okay.
Oh, I quit smoking because.
No, I'm just saying, what he's basically saying is if we're going to pass this law, then we're going to do this, this, and this.
No,
If
he's
we
just
don't,
saying
then
he's
it's okay.
gonna request that.
And legally, he can do it.
Oh, I know that. I'm surprised that it hasn't been done. I didn't know that it was like that.
No, there's nothing over there for.
Very expensive.
I don't know, maybe we need to look into that.
I could see saying, you know what, in the mechanics bay where he works, that's one of your areas that's allowed to be smoking. Then you end that whole problem right there with that.
It still doesn't eliminate the problem.
Is
that
there
we
any,
have with
any,
compliance.
the thing that I worry about is, I mean, you know, a fire, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of fuel around there and oils and stuff like that, I mean, is,
He welds and cuts with torches right there in the same room.
Yeah.
Wow, maybe we need to be looking at that. Whew.
so should we designate an area for the
I
highway?
make his shop a one of the designated areas, maybe that's a designated area there. And that's it. They already know they don't smoke in the lunchroom, they don't smoke in my office, they don't smoke in the bathroom. And outside there's a designated area with a sign already saying,
And you come up with a spot that's,
wherever you did.
you know, like no fuel or no anything where he can go in and stay warm and still.
Right by the tree. Either in the shop or staying by the tree.
Which is fine, but I still think we need to address the other issues. If we're not in compliance, I think we need to do something to become compliant. I wouldn't want to be in that garage with a vehicle running, with the exhaust. I wouldn't want to be.
We don't have a tail that goes outdoors?
That's what he's
You don't
complaining
fan
about.
up in the ceiling, that's it, you don't have the pipes that you put over the.
They don't have the pipes out the overhead door?
Now, he's talking something different. Each truck would have an individual hood that comes down over the exhaust pipe.
Right.
Right.
But each one, I don't, they all
You
have the
hook a
same
hose
motor,
onto it,
but
like, and it goes up and down.
No, we don't have any.
you put in a bathroom,
Do they
tank,
have
you
it in
spend $300-400.
Other garages,
You
you
can
know?
pay there.
Do they have it in other garages, like Beavertown have it, or
I'm
Shade
not
Plain
sure
have
deep
it?
in the county, because I know the
It's
state,
county?
the county
If
does.
they do it, they pipe it and
Yeah.
go out.
And it
They
goes
don't have
out,
the hood
goes
for
up
each
and
truck,
out.
no, but they can pipe it and have an exhaust fan.
Mhm.
Okay, let's,
I
I'll
don't
do
know,
some
maybe we need
checking on that.
to look into this.
Okay, so let's go to resolutions. I'll find out, we'll dig into some information on that too.
Okay, the first resolution, the annual Memorial Day Parade request by Commander Alan Reese, May 26th at noon.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
Councilor Devens made the motion, second by Councilor Trombley. Any discussion? Roll call. Councilor West,
Yes.
Councilor Dino,
Yes.
Councilor Devens,
Yes.
Councilor Trombley,
Yes.
Supervisor Spiegel.
Yes. Before we go on, I would like to say, you know, something in behalf of Willard Martin, who passed away this week. I mean, he did a lot for the,
Yes, he did. Yes.
the town and also, you know, the region up there. I mean, he was instrumental in starting that and getting the group together to meet there, and he's done a lot for, so, to his family, our deepest regrets, and, you know, just wanted to mention that while we were on the subject.
Yes.
Okay, next resolution. Board of Assessment Review appointment of Frederick Gimmel. Joey Trombley, declined reappointment.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Counselor Trombley made the motion, seconded by Counselor Devlin. Any discussion? Roll call, Counselor West,
Yes.
Counselor Dino,
Yes.
Counselor Devlin,
Yes.
Counselor Trombley,
Yes.
Supervisor Spiegel.
Yes.
And it's three.
This one will table. I guess.
He's gonna table this one
Yeah.
again?
Should table it one more time. We get more information.
Okay, the next one would be a resolution authorizing emergency well equipment repairs using water district equipment. Type capital reserve fund subject to permissive referendum. And what is the figure you want to use, 50,000?
15,000, so.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Counselor Dino made the motion, seconded by Counselor Devens. Any further discussion? Roll call, Counselor West,
Yes.
Counselor Dino,
Yes.
Counselor Devens,
Yes.
Counselor Trombley,
Yes.
Supervisor Spiegel.
Yes.
Next one is resolution authorizing town maintenance man David Luke to attend the grade D water distribution system operation and maintenance course and a number 1313 basic laboratory skills course.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Counselor Devens made the motion, seconded by Counselor West. Any discussion? Roll call, Counselor West,
Yes.
Counselor Dino,
Yes.
Counselor Devens,
Yes.
Counselor Trombley,
Yes.
Supervisor Spiegel.
Yes.
The next one, we're gonna skip for now.
Okay.
And next one will be on budget transfers.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Who made the motion?
Jerry.
Jerry.
Counselor Trombley.
Yep. Counselor Dino made the motion, seconded by Counselor Trombley on budget transfers. Roll call, Counselor West,
Yes.
Counselor Dino,
Yes.
Counselor Devens,
Yes.
Counselor Trombley,
Yes.
Supervisor Spiegel. And the last one, payment of claims.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Counselor Devens made the motion, seconded by Counselor Dino. Any further discussion? Roll call, Counselor West,
Yes.
Counselor Dino,
Yes.
Counselor Devens,
Yes.
Counselor Trombley,
Yes.
Supervisor Spiegel.
Yes.
I make the motion to go into executive session.
I'll second.
Hey, Dan.
County did not have a choice.
I voted in West Chazy and Scioto and West Chazy vote in the same place, and not only I found it offensive that the man was standing next to the machine, but I found it offensive that the other three voters that were voting at the same time as me stood in line in the back of me. You know, it's just,
Yeah,
It just
I
wasn't-
didn't think there was,
I agree,
there was much privacy at all
Yeah.
when you were casting.
and the
your
ballots
vote.
were very hard to read, they're very
Small.
small and very light printed. But, you know, you felt like, geez, everybody's watching you, you
Yeah.
know,
It'll improve though, this is the first
I
time,
think
so.
so.
hope so.
It was.
I was
Hit
approached,
Mr. Sears if you can.
also,
Hit him with your
and
cane.
I know we discussed
Mr.
it.
Sears.
Hit me with your cane, he said. I don't know why.
You know what I got because of the blanket?
Good point.
Um,
Doesn't want to damage your
I
cane.
was approached about a horse, riding sign. You know, we used to put them up if there were, people rode the horses along the edge of the road. But I thought we discussed something, I wanted to ask Dick about it, about that type of sign.
Yeah, we did. Up in
Last year-
Miners Woods.
And I couldn't remember,
That was a county road.
but it was, this is a town road, they would like one placed.
What they should do
Was
is, you should just ask them to draft us a letter stating what they would like us to do, and.
I didn't know if it, I just remember us talking us about something, I don't know if it's, they have to buy the sign, that the town doesn't provide them anymore, do you remember
I think
anything?
that's what it was, something about if it's.
I didn't wanna quote them, because it
Child
was.
play area sign.
Right,
We
that's
asked
how
them
you
if
do
they
it.
would.
I thought it was a liability.
Didn't I go back to when we had the riding club from West Chazy? And they put those signs up?
I'm requesting.
So I'll just have a request to you in writing, and then
I
you
think back then was when
Pass it on,
Brian
okay.
was highway superintendent, and he had horses, his wife rode all over, and he put signs up himself.
Greg Otis.
Yeah. The highway superintendent back then just put them up when they were requested.
The other thing, about the code enforcement,
We have.
you have that on
I
the.
have applications in, we have approximately 4 or 5. I'd like to set a meeting date to go over these applications. So, when we talk about.
So you're
that
gonna
after.
discuss that,
Yeah.
okay, all right. And then the other question I had was about the, what Veronica, that program,
Yep, she's delaying that for right now.
okay,
She's not quite ready yet. She asked me to delay it.
all right. And then the letter we received about the I-98 corridor or whatever, in our packet, there was a, are we doing anything to support that? I don't think so, but. It was a letter from
Yep.
business development or.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just.
It was basically asking us for money.
Right, and you're gonna get $1,200, you didn't read that?
15,000.
Yeah,
We're not allowed
we
to.
could give anywhere from 15 to 15,000.
I don't think we're allowed to do that.
Right here.
As a municipality, we're not allowed to.
Okay.
Did you see that?
So.
All right,
We're looking for donations, Bill.
well, maybe they'll throw it in for us, that's all I have.
Chris?
All right, I have a few things. I'm glad to see that Pat's here today because there's a few things that I wanted to go over in reference to the reassessment that the county's offering. And
She is gonna actually do a little spiel at the end of the meeting, so explaining it all.
okay, one thing that she may not cover that I had that I wanted to ask is an explanation as far as with the reassessment and the reappraisal at 100% of value required for all counties, why would Nassau and New York City be exempt from that?
They have different rules for their assessing under New York state law. They have different rules and laws. Because they're a city, I guess, I'm not sure why, but that was established many, many years ago, but they're different than the rest of the state of New York.
So they don't have to ride at the 100%?
Right.
Okay. And with the proposal that you're offering, number 3, that the county's offering us, with that plan, what would actually happen if, let's say you retired or we no longer had a town assessor? What program would implement so that we're in compliance with that, so that we get the $5 each year?
Well, let me say, first of all, this isn't required. This is something suggested by the Office of Real Property Tax Services. This is what the state would like us to do, would like the town to do. But they can't require it, it's not a law or anything. This is their proposal to give aid to the municipalities. And like I said, your choices are, you do not have to participate, or you can participate in one of the plans, and I projected the money that would come from that. And at a discussion at the county level, our county director would like everyone to do the $5 per year plan. We do a majority of that work already in our county. Our county is really unusual because since 1970, they have been collecting their own data. Everyone here has collected their data and kept everything up to date. Many counties in New York do not do any of that. I don't know how they assess because they don't have information about the homes and what's located in the homes, and any of that basic data that we collect, they don't have it. Their assessments were set back in past years, and they are assessing at 2% of value or something instead of the 100%. So the majority of the state is not like Clinton County. So when we discussed this, we felt that it is gonna add some more work to us for the years that we're doing this, but we're almost there now, doing a majority of that work already. So it's definitely worth it to us to get that aid, because we're already meeting most of the requirements. We just have to change a few things with what we do. It's mostly proving to them that we are doing it, and doing the work to maintain the assessments. And so that's why we're recommending that. But it's your choice, you don't have to
Right.
do any of this.
I understand that, but let's say we went with the plan that you're suggesting, which is the 5 and 5,
Right.
okay? Let's say something happened to you. You're our
Okay.
only assessor, we only have one assessor in the town, and that
Right.
would be you. Would the county come in and implement the program that we started so we could continue to get that?
Yes,
Or would we be penalized?
you could appoint another assessor, that's no problem at all.
But you got the training and everything that would have to
Right,
go along,
but
so you'd
the
be
county
behind.
has people available, they are assessing Moore's and the town of Peru and Dannemora, and they're assessing those towns now with county
It's just our
personnel.
discretion of what plan we
And
want.
are they going to go with that 5 and 5?
Most people are leaning toward it, yes, and I believe, they probably will be convinced that the county is gonna offer any assistance to encourage people to do that, because it was projected that about $60,000 loss in the county's budget if we don't do this $5 plan. And that's a pretty big loss in the real property budget, so they're encouraging everyone to do it, and they are offering assistance, so we will join. And the money aside, I've been assessing for a long time, and I know what it used to be like when everybody was all different equalization rates.
Yep.
And it was really, the taxes were really unfair. If you lived in a town in the same school district, one person would pay a lot more than another just across, down the road. And if you stay at 100%, you're much better off fair and equal wise for taxpayers, for everybody to be there at that level, rather than everybody all over the place. And that's what happens in the plan that goes to the $2. You don't have to do anything. The first year you do this reassessment. The second year, you don't have to do anything. Go out, collect data, nothing. And you get the $2, but your equalization rate could fall below 100%. And then that puts everybody out of whack again. So we really didn't like that plan. It doesn't mean it would, but we figured we're doing work anyway, to keep it 100%, why not get the most aid that we can out of it? That's what we're looking at. But if I should quit, you reappoint somebody else as assessor, and that will be your choice to hire an individual. Right now, the town of Plattsburgh is interviewing people, and they're gonna be hiring a new assessor. Or you could go to the county, hire them as the assessor.
But let's
You wouldn't
say,
lose your plan. You could quit your plan. What they told us is if you quit your plan in the second or third year, as you're going along, you have to pay back the money they paid you,
if you quit it.
if you quit the plan.
Because, let's say God forbid that something happened and you were disabled and you're gonna be out of work for a period of time. Would you be able to do a catch-up when you came back without the town being penalized? Or would we have to go to the county and have them continue on that plan?
I'm sure they could do it. It could be arranged. That's kind of a what if.
Right.
But it would be like anybody in a position here in the town, if something happened to them, it would be, you'd have to fill in.
The county's always assisted somebody in the assessor's department that needed assistance and wanted assistance. We were more than cordial, and not only that's the proper thing. And if, like you said, if something happened, she got hurt, I'm sure the county would walk in and say, all right, we're gonna assist you, and if that's your
what I wanna make
pleasure.
sure that,
Yeah.
that they would, that way they can't come back and say that we're not implementing the program that we
No,
selected.
no. That's a whole different thing, implementing it because of goodwill or just walking away, and this way you're getting the job done and you still got the security working with the county.
It's definitely to their advantage for everyone to
It's
be
the
in
county's
this.
benefit too.
Right, exactly.
It's a partnership.
Exactly.
Any other?
A couple other things that I have is I don't know if anybody else on the board had a chance to look at the local ordinance that came out. And I had some questions, and I don't know where we fall in with this, but on page 28, it has the fire and safety and maintenance inspections for dormitory buildings and buildings with areas for public assemble. And it also says for multiple dwellings and all non-residential occupancies must be done in intervals not exceeding 3 years. Are they referring to like multifamily rentals where the code officer has to go every 3 years to make sure that everything is?
I don't know what you're referring to.
It's this fire and property maintenance inspection. And then the other question that I had regarding that as well is the pools and spas and hot tubs, which is underneath page 32. I mean, I don't know if we as a town have to implement it, but it says, it indicates in there that when it says property maintenance code requirements, fencing or other barriers to be installed around the ground, above ground, and on-ground swimming pools, spas, and hot tubs includes minimum height and access gates. This provision regarding swimming pool fences apply to newly constructed and pre-existing pools, and pools constructed after December 14, 2006 are required to be equipped with an accessible pool alarm. So after the permit is given, does our code enforcement go out and do an inspection of the pools? I don't know if he does an inspection, but I have heard him mention several times about the fence requirements and that alarm, because I've heard him on the phone telling people what they have to have that. Because I know that there's some in non-compliance with that. Well, that's his job to go out and find them and put them in. That's what I'm saying, are we supposed to go out and inspect them? Is that part of the code enforcement officer's job? And if he doesn't, is the town liable for that? If there is,
The liability is pretty weak in terms of something that happened as a result of the failure to inspect something like that. But generally, if you're issuing permits for it, you're going to be responsible for going out and issuing enforcement violations or notices if they're not in compliance. Certainly.
What are the pages on that, Chris?
Page 28 is the fire safety and maintenance inspections. And I don't know if every rental property, if they're referring that every rental property would need to be inspected to make sure that it's safe.
No, because
Well,
we're
this
working
is
on
common
that.
areas of multiple dwellings and dormitories.
Right.
To me, that's like a,
What
not
page is
each
the other?
apartment or whatever, it would be like if they all use one common area.
Under the same thing.
That's how I understand it.
But I didn't know if it had, because of the safety, I don't know.
I would have you check with Bob. I mean,
Yeah, I was hoping he was gonna stay, but he.
Unfortunately, he left.
So you're talking about the fire safety?
Yeah.
All right. All right, what page is the other one on? 32?
And 32.
Because we're working on our meetings. And
Right.
I'll bring it up with Tom and Spike.
Anything else, Chris?
And the last thing that I have is with the dog licensing, new kicking into effect. And I've had people ask me this question, and I don't know the answer, and I'm sure Leo does. Licensing for dogs, do we know why that was started? And why some animals are exempt from being licensed? Meaning, some people were saying, well, you have people that have horses, you have some people that have cats, you have people that have cows, where did the licensing kick into play for strictly dogs?
Cats are a domestic animal.
Well, that's what a dog is.
They come in, no, well, a cat is considered.
It started way back.
When you pass a law, why is it a law? Because the board passes it.
It had to be for a tax revenue thing.
That's boiled down.
No, really, they wanted income.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
Sure.
Surprised they haven't started it for cats.
Well, that's what
Maybe Chazy can start something new.
No, it's not.
No, cats are, they come under a different category.
that's been around for how many years?
Long before we were born.
Yeah. Anything else? That's all I have.
Bill, do you have anything for us tonight?
Nothing.
Nothing, did you, anything with letters to,
Yeah,
I got one today.
Yes, that one went out, the other one did not yet. That has to be retooled because we're just want an acknowledgement that'll be required if the properties are